Good morning, students. I am Manpreet Kaur, your SST teacher. Today we will revise day 11 to day 15 of Unit 1 History. So, without wasting much time, let's start the revision.
Okay students, now we are going to discuss about military expansion under the Delhi Sultanate. In last week we discussed about what is Delhi Sultanate and how did it expanded. Now we will discuss about its military expansion. So first of all let us discuss what do you mean by military expansion. Military expansion means waging wars to control new and unconquered territories. Just like other rulers, the Delhi Sultans also carried out military campaigns. Some reasons were to control hinterlands, to access areas for food and military supplies, to control governors, and limit Mongol presence. We will discuss about Mongols in the last slides. Now, before that, let us divide the Delhi Sultanate into two stages, that is military campaigns led by Sultan Alauddin Khilji in 13th century and the military campaigns led by Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq in 14th century. Let us first discuss about the round of campaigns led by Sultan Alauddin Khilji. Now, the first round of expansion includes it was led by Sultan Balban and Sultan Alauddin Khilji. Here you can see in the map that the blue part indicates the land conquered by the Balban and the orange shows the land that was conquered by Alauddin Khilji in the 13th century. Now we will discuss about the second point, that is it completed Sultanate control of its internal frontiers. Next we come to what do you mean by internal frontiers. Internal frontiers meant the areas included in the Sultanate as well as the hinterland of the garrison town. Now we have come across the terms hinterland and garrison. Let us know what do you mean by this. Hinterland means the land adjacent to city or port that supplies it with goods or services. And garrison towns means a fortified settlement with soldier. In simple words, we can say that hinterland is the area that is near our house. Like suppose you are living in your house and all the nearby area is known as hinterland. And the garrison town means you can see it is your home where you can reside very safely. So at the earlier time the people used to build or the people used to build big forts for themselves to safeguard themselves from the other ruler party. Now we will discuss about the second round of campaigns. As you all know earlier, now we will discuss about the campaigns led by Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq. It includes the following round of expansion. It took place under Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq, as you can see in the map. Now I think so it is visible that how it is similar to India. We have studied about Balban that it can acquire the blue region, the Alauddin Khilji acquired the orange region, and the Muhammad bin Tughlaq acquired this green region. Or we can say the South India was brought under the control by Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He completed the Sultanate control of its external frontiers. Now, what do you mean by external frontiers? It meant the areas which were not conquered previously by Delhi Sultans. In green, we see the external frontiers conquered by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now, student, let us take the example of India today. As you know from the SPL class, India is run by an elected government. In the mid 12th century, the Delhi Sultanate rulers were running their empire. Just as the Prime Minister needs a council of ministers to run the country, Similarly, the Delhi Sultanate had governors and other officials running the administration. Today we will learn more about the administration under the Delhi Sultanate. So, let us now look at the administration under the Delhi Sultanate. Here you can see the Sultanate was the head, the Sultan was the head of the administration in the Sultanate. Here you can see the picture, Sultan, who was also known as the head of administration. Then he has in the provinces the Iqtadars who govern on the Sultan's behalf. Iqtadars, what do you mean by Iqtadars? Iqtadars were the military commanders and governors. They were provided with military services to the Sultan and governed the Iqta or territory under the state. You can also match this situation like today's, that India is a country whose Sultan is like a prime minister, and then we have the states. So on the states we have chief ministers. Yes. So similarly at that time there were at the provincial level there were Iqtadars, or we can say Muktis. Now second we come to Mustafi a Mamlakat. These were known as the accountants. They checked the account of land revenue collected by the Iqtadars or Mukti. At last we come with the old Samantas. These were the chieftains or landlords. They collected the revenue and assessed the amount of revenue that could be collected from the land. So students, we just summarize the Sultanate administration as follows, that Sultan is the head of administration, then he is assisted by the Iqtadars, old Samantas and Mustafi a Mamlakat. Okay. Now let us look what do you mean by Iqta. Now the Sultanate empire was divided into territories called Iqta. Those who were appointed to control Iqta were known as Iqtadars or Mukti, that we have already studied. Now only powerful supporters of the Sultan were appointed Iqtadars. So here in the map you can see the Iqtas in North India. In North India we have Iqta of Badaun, Iqta of Gujarat and Iqta of Awadh. Now who were Iqtadar? Iqtadar were important to Sultanate administration for the following reasons: because they collected revenue, they kept a small amount of revenue to raise an army, they joined the king with their horses and soldiers in military campaigns. Now after discussing all, let us look about the Mongols and Mongol invasion of India. Now here you can see in the map, below this is China, Russia, Kazakhstan, and here it is India. So the Mongolia is shown by the yellow region. Now let us look about who were the Mongols. In 1206th century, Genghis Khan, who was also known as the founder of Mongol Empire, founded the Mongols Empire. Now let us look about some of the important military tactics of the Mongols. Now they have a strong spy networks, the ocean wave tactics, the cavalry charge, the sword and the arrow. Here in the map you can see it is a map of the Asia. This is the Mongol Empire. This is Eurasia, Middle East and Southeast Asia. Now we will look that earlier they have this much empire, but later on with these tactics they acquired all the Asia, or we can say most of the part of the Asia. It was also at its time the second largest empire. Later on, the Mongols attempted to expand their empire between 1299 and 1330 century. They tried to conquer the north part of the India. They had one war with the Delhi Sultanate, that is Alauddin Khilji. The second war they had with Muhammad bin Tughlaq. But due to some policies acquired by the Muhammad bin Tughlaq and Alauddin Khilji, the Mongols could not invade India. Now let us look what were these policies. Now here you can see the Alauddin Khilji has price control measures. He introduced price control measures to make sure that his soldiers found their salaries enough to buy the goods they needed. Whereas the Muhammad bin Tughlaq had the token currency, instead of controlling prices of goods, he introduced token currency made of cheap metals. However, this policy turned out to be a failure. Now let us look what were the reasons of the decline of Delhi Sultanate. The Taimur invasion in 1398 century was the immediate reason for the Sultanate's decline. The second reason is before Taimur invasion, Muhammad bin Tughlaq policies like we have just discussed, that is token currency, has weakened the Delhi Sultanate. The rise of independent rulers in regions like Gujarat, Malwa, Jaunpur also led to the decline of Delhi Sultanate. Now, in chapter 3, we learned about the emergence of Delhi as the center of power under the Delhi Sultanate. After the decline of Delhi Sultanate, many kingdoms rose. However, it was the Mughals who established their rule in India in the early 60th century. Let us understand how this happened. We know that Mughals ruled for about 200 years in our Indian subcontinent. Now, here in the timeline, you can see the different famous Mughal rulers and their period in which they ruled. For example, in 1526, you can see that the rule of Babur was there. Then came the Humayun, then Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb, and Bahadur Shah Zafar. So the most important thing that you have to remember is that the first ruler was the Babur and the last Mughal ruler was Bahadur Shah Zafar in 1856. Now let us know that who were the Mughals and how did they come to power. The Mughals were descendants of two great powers these were the ancestors who had descended from Genghis Khan and Taimur. During the reign of the Lodi dynasty, the subcontinent was going through an economic crisis. Babur used this opportunity to come to India along with his family. He defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the Battle of Panipat in 1526 century and established the Mughal Empire in India. So from here one more question arises, that when was the first Battle of Panipat fought? So the answer will be 1526 century. Now we know that Mughal empires were famous for their military campaigns. When emperors moved with their armies to attack and control of a new area, it was also called a military campaign. Today we will read about Mughal military campaigns on page number 47 to 48 of the NCERT book. After reading the page number 47 and 48, you can summarize the military campaigns of different Mughal rulers as follows. For example, the Babur has ruled from 1526 to 1530. His main achievement was that he defeated Ibrahim Lodi. He defeated Rana Sanga at Kannauj. Then later on Humayun, he was defeated by Sher Shah, but he recaptured Delhi. Then Akbar, who ruled for the most time. He started ruling independent and captured Malwa, Chittor and Ranthambore, then led victorious campaigns in Gujarat, Bengal, Bihar and Orissa. Similarly, these are the military campaigns or achievements of the other rulers. Okay students, this was all for today. I hope you got it very clear that what were the achievements of the different Mughal rulers.
Okay students, I hope that this video must have been helpful to you regarding the doubts that you must have in your minds during this week. I have tried to cover all the important points that have been taught during this week. At last, I want to say that if you are having any inquiry, then you can call me personally or message me. And wish you all a very happy Raksha Bandhan and Eid Mubarak. Thank you and have a nice day.